Papa Sophia had nothing fancy in his life. No wealth. No big title. No land stretching across the horizon, but he had one treasure, his daughter, Sophia. Sophia was his light, his laughter, his reason to wake up every morning and sit on that old wooden bench outside their mud house. And to him, that house was more than clay and nails. It was his father's sweat. It was history. It was pride. When he touched its walls, he felt like he was holding hands with every ancestor who came before him. But Sophia, she didn't see the house that way. To her, it was just a place to sleep. A roof to hide from rain. Her eyes weren't stuck in the past, they were fixed on the future. And in that future stood one person, a Derek, tall, charming, the kind of guy whose smile could make you forget the warnings people shouted. He talked about the city like it was heaven, a place where dreams didn't just survive, they grew wings. And Sophia? She was already flying with him in her mind. People whispered that Derek wasn't who he claimed to be. That he had a habit of talking big and doing little. But Sophia didn't care. She believed him the way a thirsty plant believes the rain. Everything changed the night he looked at her under that mango tree and said the words that almost sounded like destiny. If I can just go to school in the city, I'll change everything. For us. But the change came with a price, one she couldn't afford. Then came his solution. You have a house, he whispered, sell it, and I promise I will marry you. I'll buy you 10 better ones. And just like that, the old mud house that had carried 3 generations suddenly became the weight standing between Sophia and her dream. She didn't sleep that night. She stared at her father as he slept peacefully, unaware that the thing he cherished most was hanging by a thread. His words kept replaying in her head, this house is our pride. But so did Derek's promise, sweet like honey and just a sticky. By sunrise, she had made a choice that would destroy everything. She sold the house, not half, not a corner, all of it. She signed papers with shaking hands and told her father a small lie, that she was only renting the place. But lies don't stay small for long. When the buyers showed up with baskets, furniture, and loud voices, Papa Sophia stepped outside confused, asking why strangers were walking into his father's house, and then he heard the words that turned his bones cold. Your daughter sold the house. His face drained of life. His hands shook. He tried to speak, but the shock crushed his chest before the words could escape, and that evening, he was gone. Sophia cried until her voice vanished. She begged for forgiveness that could never come. She buried her father with trembling hands, and with him, the last piece of her childhood. But even then, she held on to Derek's promise. He took the money, packed his bag, and left for the city, and she stayed behind in a village where every whisper felt like a knife. There goes the girl who sold her home for a man. She killed her father with her foolishness. Let's see if this graduate husband ever comes back for her. But Sophia waited. 3 months later, a letter came. School is hard, but I won't forget what you did. Wait for me. That single sentence kept her alive. More letters came. Then fewer. Then almost none. After 4 years, Derek was a new man, clean clothes, sharp English, and a new kind of pride in his walk. He visited the village again, but not alone. He brought Tracy, smiling. Confident. Everything Sophia wasn't when he said, she's special to me. The world inside Sophia cracked, and when she asked him, voice shaking, what she meant to him now, he said something that would haunt her for the rest of her life. You can work as a maid in our house. That way, you'll still be near me. A maid, after losing her father for him, after selling her home for him. But she didn't scream. She didn't fight. She simply nodded, because when you have nothing left, clinging to the wrong person feels safer than standing alone. She followed them to the city. At first, the house looked like a dream, tall gates, flowers by the door, polished floors. But dreams can be traps too. Tracy welcomed her with a smile that hid knives, and from that day, Sophia's life turned into silent suffering. She swept floors until her fingers burned. She washed plates until her back ached. She cooked meals that she wasn't even allowed to taste, and Tracy always sprinkled her insults like salt. Oh, Sophia, this looks dirty. Didn't your village teach you how to clean? This food is too salty. Maybe you're used to cheap cooking. To visitors, Tracy acted sweet. This is just my lovely sister-in-law. She helps us around the house. But the moment the guests left, the sweetness disappeared. Sophia slept on a thin mattress in a tiny servant's room, staring at the ceiling, thinking of her father and the home she no longer had. Men in the market offered her new life, money, even marriage. Some told her she was too beautiful to be a maid, too gentle to be suffering, but she always said, "I have a man." They laughed, "If you had a real man, you wouldn't be living like this." Her loyalty kept her trapped. One evening, she finally gathered courage and went to Derek. She begged him to tell Tracy the truth. To tell her she was not just a servant. But Derek snapped, "You want to ruin my life? You want me to lose everything? Stay quiet and endure." She walked out broken. Nights became heavier, days became longer. Her heart slowly stopped recognizing herself, and then life twisted again. Sophia found out she was pregnant when she told Derek. Instead of joy, he froze. Then he said something colder than ice, "You need to get rid of it. If Tracy finds out, she'll throw us out. I'm not risking everything because of you." She refused. She stood her ground for the first time in years. She didn't bend. She said she would keep the child, no matter what. Derek panicked. Then he played his last card. "If you stay, you'll end up alone on the streets. No money, no roof, no help. Think carefully." Sophia cried, not because she believed him, but because she finally saw the truth that the man she destroyed her life for would never destroy anything for her, and for the first time, she chose herself. She packed her small bag, walked out of the house quietly, and didn't look back. She didn't know where she was going. She didn't know what waited for her. She didn't even know what tomorrow looked like, but she knew one thing: she would never let someone break her again. And from that moment, her real story began. Sophia walked through the city with her small bag pressed to her chest, the cold wind cutting across her cheeks. Every streetlight seemed to whisper memories she didn't want to remember. She had nowhere to go, no friend to call, no family waiting with open arms. But she kept walking, because stopping meant breaking, and she had already been broken enough. By midnight, her legs were shaking. She sat near a bakery, the smell of warm bread drifting through the air. A kind old woman sweeping the front looked at her with soft eyes. "A child, are you lost?" she asked. Sophia wanted to say yes, but instead she whispered, "Just tired." The woman offered her a piece of bread and a blanket. It wasn't much, but it felt like more kindness than she had received in years. For the first time since leaving Derek's house, Sophia let out a deep breath. The weight on her shoulders felt a little lighter. The next morning, she woke to the sound of traffic. Her stomach growled, and her hands rested gently on her small baby bump. She remembered Derek's cold words, words that were supposed to guide her but instead pushed her away forever. With shaky courage, she walked to a women's shelter the old woman had mentioned. The building wasn't fancy, but the moment Sophia stepped inside, she felt something she hadn't felt in a long time: safety. A nurse welcomed her with a warm smile. "You're safe here," she said. "And so is your baby." Sophia almost cried. Days passed, then weeks. She helped in the shelter kitchen, folding blankets, sweeping floors, but this time, no one insulted her. No one shouted. No one made her feel small. Every woman there had a story, and suddenly Sophia realized she wasn't the only one who had trusted the wrong person. She started going to prenatal checkups. The doctor told her she was healthy, and so was her baby. Those words became her new strength. One afternoon, while sitting by the window, a thought hit her, a painful, sharp thought. What if Derek never faces the truth? Because while she was healing, he was still living his perfect life. But fate has a way of turning tables when you least expect it. One morning, the shelter staff turned on the TV. A reporter's voice filled the room. A local family is facing a major scandal. A former university student is accused of misusing funds, lying about his qualifications, and Sophia froze. The screen showed Derek's face. Her heart stopped. The reporter continued, "He is under investigation. His employers have suspended him. More details soon." Gasps filled the shelter. Sophia didn't smile. She didn't celebrate. But something inside her, something silent and wounded, finally felt justice. Days later, the shelter manager approached her with gentle excitement. "A program is offering training for young mothers, sewing, baking, childcare, with a small stipend. I think you'd be perfect." Sophia hesitated. "Do you think I can do it?" The woman squeezed her hand. "I know you can. And so, for the first time in her life, Sophia walked into a classroom not for someone else's dream, but for her own future. She wasn't the scared girl who sold her home anymore. She wasn't the maid who obeyed every cruel command. She wasn't Derek's shadow. She was a mother-daughter survivor, and slowly, she was becoming a woman who believed in her own worth.